Hey everyone, and welcome to Property Banter. Property Banter's back in a new version, live streaming. So if we stuff up, we stuff up live. So we can't change that. And also interactive. So if anyone wants to, anyone who's watching at the moment, you can. There's a chat button down the bottom of your screen. If you've got any questions, any comments, if you want to abuse us or debate us or do anything like that, hey, go for it. So let's get stuck into it. I've got to introduce my co-host. I think we'd call you Rusty, Russell Cambridge, who's the director of Biggin & Scott in Richmond. And also our special guest this week, Lisa B, real estate coach to the stars and author. We're going to give away one of Lisa's books a little bit later on in the show. Hey, so welcome, guys. It's a strange world we're living in. Lots of things going on.
Hey, Mark, where do we find you today with the flash rubbish bin behind you?
I'm in Silicon Valley. I'm trying to get all tech. I'm trying to get all tech and cool and hip and all those sorts of things. It doesn't. I'm really at home with 4 kids, trying to homeschool four kids at the moment. So really, what I'm doing is just locking myself away in a room and trying to make myself look cool. Hey, there's lots going on, but I know, Russ, during the week you did a mock video auction. And
yeah,
how did that go?
We've been trying to do a few versions of digital auction to see which format works the best. We did it with our good friends at Real Time, and it worked a treat. I sold it. We got a good price.
You would have underquoted it, Lisa. What do you think about the virtual auctions?
The virtual auction is mock. It was great. He sold it. Yeah,
yeah, that's right.
Hey, Lisa, I've got a question. Apparently you have an agent's hotline. Can you share with us what might have been the weirdest question that's been thrown your way on your hotline?
Okay, I had a call from an agent once on the Sunshine Coast, and he asked me, should he go naked to a listing presentation? Now, the backstory to that was that the owners were nudists and felt comfortable in their house being naked. So they said to him, would you be okay if we were naked during the presentation, right? And he was like, yeah, that's okay. That should be fine. Then he rang me and he said, I don't know what to do. Do I go naked? Do I ask them not to be naked? So it ended up, he had a conversation with them and said, look, is it okay? Can you put clothes on? And because when we're bringing buyers through, all that sort of thing. So he listed it and sold it and everybody kept their clothes on. So that was probably one of the... It could
have been quite weird if it was only this week, because he might have had to have worn a mask and sanitizer and be naked.
And gloves, yeah.
Mask, gloves, shoes, polished, and that's it. That'd be kind of weird.
So that was a little bit weird, but
that is it. Yeah, you sort of hesitate whether you want to take the listing.
I know. You did sound like they were in their 60s too. Like it was probably a little bit, but anyway, each to their own.
So it would have been I don't want to say flabby. I was going to say flabby, but I shouldn't say that.
I think it was.
That's not appropriate. Hey guys, I've got my T-shirt on here, undisruptible. So at Rate My Agent, we've got this sort of passionate belief that we think good real estate agents are undisruptible. We don't think technology is going to disrupt good real estate agents. We think that good agents are really great relationship builders. And Lisa, it's another question for you. Each week, our special guest is someone that is undisruptible, and you're talking to a lot of agents about, dealing with nudists on one level.
Yeah.
But also, no doubt you're dealing with agents who are really thriving in this environment and just getting on with bloody business. And
yes.
So what are you seeing? What are good agents? What are undisruptible agents doing during this time?
Okay. Well, just like, everyone's at different stages. Some people are really still trying to come to terms with everything. They're still assessing what's happening. People are adapting to what's happening. People are strategizing. People are planning, and people are taking massive action. So there's different people on different levels of that. Now, the people that are taking massive action now, I'm finding that they're really embracing the technology and they're looking at ways that they can implement it into the future as well. So not just now. So they're kind of practicing and implementing a lot of that technology and using sites as yourself, Rate My Agent, like using anything technology as well as offline methods. Because the thing that agents are most worried about is that somebody, we are going to be, taken over by something else, right? So, people want the people connection and all that sort of thing. But yeah, it's just been interesting to see how much the ones that have actually moved forward have progressed. Like it's been incredible. And also too, you've got to think of Generation Z coming in as well. Like, they don't want to leave their house. They're quite happy to, like my son's playing with 7 other kids on, VR sets and all that sort of stuff, so they want the technology coming through. And I think the agents that are using it are really kind of, they've got the database, they've got everything, and they're going to make it hard for a seller to do it themselves with offline and online methods. So the way that offices have adapted is obviously working from home. So, that's sort of something that's really
been forced upon them.
Yeah, it hasn't really been seen in real estate before. They're putting everything into the cloud, which is, they've finally worked out that's a good idea. Some of them have had servers in their office.
I've got to cut you off there for Lisa for a second. Russell, not the clouds in the sky. It's a computer. It's a computer term.
I was just wondering
computer term.
I was wondering what technology nudists have adopted.
I don't know. I don't want to think about it with some of them.
I was watching a little video about, no, it wasn't about nudists, but I suspect a lot of people are microchipping. They're putting under the skin microchips. So if you aren't wearing clothes, you've got nowhere to put your phone or your wallet. And what you can do is it just sits under the skin, and then you can open your front door with it. By scanning, you can pay, it's a credit card microchip. You can do all these sorts of things. So I assume that the nudists are well into microchipping, I'd imagine.
Maybe. I don't know. But anyway.
Of all this technology that's coming through, I see none of it staying in place that we've seen through this COVID.
Wait. I've still got lots more.
We can't wait to get normality.
No, well, I will have a debate with you after this, right? But anyway, the other thing is that offices have adopted the Zoom meetings, obviously, and Russell was saying some of the things that their office has done, which has been amazing, which we'll talk about another day. The other thing that principals have had to discover is how to keep the culture going and working as a team while everybody's at home. So that's been a big leadership lesson as well. Now, what some of the sales agents have been doing is live private walkthroughs with buyers. So they've had their iPhone and doing their private tours. They're also doing generalized videos that way, whereas before it was, you just sort of showed the basics of a house. They're actually doing walkthroughs like it's an inspection, and that's becoming part of their video on the portals on their website. They're doing online offers and online auctions, and whether it's a platform like Sale Easy or Market Buy, or you're doing a streaming one, aren't you, Russell? Yeah. So, or whether it's streaming. They're doing Matterport, which I think is awesome. That's 3-dimensional cameras, which is the immersive experience, which I think they're amazing. Another thing they're doing is they're trying to offer online appraisals like the fast, you can get a quick online appraisal, text your number and get a quick online appraisal. Another thing they're doing is virtual appraisals. And I don't know, like say, and you've got to be really careful with some of the legislation here, because you do a virtual appraisal, like in New South Wales in particular, you have to actually physically inspect a property before you can sign it up. So I don't know whether, physically inspecting a property through a video, I don't know. So that's I'm quite passionate about virtual appraisals. Some people disagree, but I think that is the one that's here to stay. Well, you can all bloody disagree with me as much as you bloody like. We can debate, but because the psychology of people is they're not going to want a whole lot of people walking through their house. Initial virtual appraisal, choose an agent, get the agent to come in, sign up. A virtual meeting of an agent, yes, but I can't see a seller going around with a phone and going, oh, here's my bedroom and here's my bathroom and here's my kitchen, and an agent trying to take it in and trying to appraise the property on the price. I can't see that happening. Meeting agents, yes.
Also on the leasing side of things, with a high volume of rentals.
Yes, which I think so too. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we're insisting on our tenants right at this moment see a virtual tour, which we are using one of those cameras you mentioned before. We've got 3 of those for our office. Then they make an application before we take them physically through the property. We don't finalise their application until they physically go through, but at least it's qualified those tenants to the point where it's worth making the appointment to show them through the property and then processing the application thoroughly. But it's working well for us.
Yeah, which I was going to say that my next section is the property management section, which again, they're doing the walkthrough with tenants. They're doing generalized walkthrough videos as well. And then the tenant inspections as well. And as Russ said, getting the applications. And they're also doing rental appraisals as well. So, you know, when they're doing the periodic inspections, you know, I've had debates with agents about this. At the moment, it's all they really can do. And a lot of the property managers are finding it very efficient because it's, you know, they can get in, get out, and, you know, whatever the tenants are just showing them around. How effective it is as far as, you know, sort of highlighting whether something's dirty or broken or whatever, you know, the tenant can sort of, you know, go across the hole in the wall or whatever, but that's what they're using now. Yeah.
And let's get stuck into that, because I know that you both are quite have got opinions. We've got a little segment now. We want to move into what we call deep dive. So each week in Property Banter, each week and we love to have a tipple at Property Banter as well. But we've got a little segment called Deep Dive. There might even be a little swash that comes across. But each week we like to look at what the media is talking about. And look at a topic that I guess everyone is sort of looking at the moment. Oh, and there we go. There's a little swash. You know, so there's a lot going on. There's a group out there at the moment that's refusing to pay rent. There's the government that's trying to keep up with what's going on, you know, with landlords and tenants. You know, you can't evict a tenant, but then there's a whole lot going on in that space at the moment, and I think we could spend a whole episode just talking about this. But Russ, I might throw it to you first. What are your thoughts? You run a big rent roll at Biggin and Scott there.
So what I want to say here, Mark, is most people are fabulous. We came into this week stressed out of our brain that we were going to be smashed with hardship claims and people taking the piss and you know, being opportunistic not to pay their rent. The number was very, very small. And I'd like to, any of our tenants listening out there, I've got to say thank you so much. You've made life so much easier. There's a number of people out there that want to be opportunistic. They want to take an opportunity to sort of come and, you know, push the boundaries, see where they can go. They're the ones taking up time and money and get out of our space. We want to look after those that deserve being looked after. There was a small number that we have been able to assist. You know, we got a package offered by the state government here in Victoria this week, which is very handy and something we can direct people across to. But generally speaking, most tenants know they've got to pay their rent, and they have been, and I thank them dearly for that.
Well, I mean, I guess, you know, unemployment rate at the moment is at 10%, which is terrible, but it also tells us on the upside that 90% of people are still employed, and 90% of tenants in theory should be in a position to pay their rent. But what are you seeing in Queensland, Lisa, and across your sort of network of agents?
It's just so confusing. It's like, you know, with Facebook, it's like, you know, 7 days ago, the news was this, 4 days ago, it was this, a day ago, it was this, and people are sharing things from 7 days ago, 4 days ago, 1 day ago. And it's all just, there's so much, you know, wrong information going on. And in my group, Let's Talk About Real Estate Today, I said, so really, like, there's been nothing legislated, has there? You know, that there hasn't been anything that the Prime Minister said that no tenant is going to be evicted. So everybody's just ran off and set up these groups and done whatever. And the agents are trying to look at what is proposed and starting to run what's proposed without knowing all the background and what it's actually going to be. And it's just turned into a mess. It's, you know, I've seen agents, you know, giving people the wrong information and saying the wrong thing, and because they don't know, you know. So that's what I'm finding very frustrating, is just that, you know, that the announcement was made by the Prime Minister without, he should have waited until now, until he, you know, got everything sorted, and then, that's my opinion, because it was just like, had the party and send out the invitations now. Everybody's made up their own mind of what they think it's going to be and put their foot down, and it's just turned into a big fiasco.
I totally agreed with you up until about a day ago. We had our direct debit day on Wednesday. Today's the day we assess our dishonours, and it was normal, exactly the same as what it is every other month.
That's good. Actually, that's a great question to ask. Yeah.
As it comes through the system, people were talking all over the place. You're 100% right. But when it came to the actual crunch, the easiest thing is just to do it and do it properly. And that's
wow, that's interesting.
So it seems to have smoothed over, and hence we've come up with a great initiative this week. We're going to all celebrate at a wind down after this.
A wind down, a hoedown. You're all going to dance and tap and do all that sort of stuff. I think I saw a couple of problems with what happened here, and I think the idea that you can't evict a tenant, and I think we all agree that, hey, you know, if there's hardship and there's genuine issue there, then we agree with that philosophy. But there was a blanket statement made that, you know, it's almost like it's going to be illegal to evict a tenant, and you had groups rise up. There's a Facebook group out there that's Rent and Mortgage Strike Australia, you know, and they've got this sort of their mantra is no rent, no mortgage, no eviction, and I think this is the area where we're saying, well, that's just not helpful. That's not helping anyone at all. It's almost militant.
Yeah, but these are the people that if they were nudists, they'd be the ones hiding behind a rock up the beach, you know. They'd be a bit shy to show their face in public. It's all very well and good being a troll on social media, pushing these boundaries, but the reality is you've got to pay your rent if you've got the money to pay it. So thank you to those who did.
If you're going to be a nudist, be a nudist. Yeah. If you're going to be a tenant, be a tenant. Yes.
Well, what proof? Like, if it, I mean, as we said, yes, if you're a tenant, you can pay. I mean, that we all agree with that. But if you can't pay, and you have lost your job or there is hardship, what proof is just an email saying, oh, I can't pay this week? Is that enough? And what's the legislation say? Is there legislation that clearly says you have to show bank accounts, or you have to show, a bloody letter that says you've been...
Yeah, separation certificates, you know, things like that. If you've lost your job, loss of income, I don't know, just not bank statements.
In all of this, common sense test prevails. Obviously, we would like to see a letter of severance, a proof that you've applied to Centrelink, and maybe an indication of, a copy of your bank account, show what sort of money you've got in the bank. We're not trying to look into their lives. We'd rather not have the application for the hardship. But most genuine people are more than willing to offer that information to prove their case. And you know what? They get their hardship. Well deserved. Thank you. Sorry to hear about this. But to the ones that we say, show us this, show us that, show us that. Oh, no, we're not going to show you that. They don't have a real claim.
Yeah.
That's why they don't want to.
And the other thing, any agents listening, don't ask tenants to put your super in for rental. That's illegal. Because they're still doing it. Oh, well, anyway.
You're not a financial advisor, real estate agents out there. You're not financial advisors, and you're not allowed to give.
And you're going to get into a lot of trouble.
I think the one that's sort of pretty interesting for me is we're talking about the tenants and we're talking about the landlords. The discussion of the banks has sort of evaporated a little bit. I mean, the banks said we're going to not charge interest for a period of time, and a lot of people, I think the people
I don't think
in
they
this
said
group,
that, did they? They're not going to charge. No, defer it. They're still going to get their money. They're going to charge. They're going to charge interest. They're not going to. Yeah, they're not going to miss out. Anybody else misses out. The banks will not miss out. They're sitting back and watching everybody else. That's what they're doing.
What annoys me the most? It annoys me. I was talking to someone about this the other day. The RBA lowered interest rates by 0.25%. Last week or a couple of weeks ago, and the banks didn't bloody pass it on. So what? And they passed it on for fixed loans, but not for or interest only loans. So they're protecting their backsides there. I mean, really, what is the point of having an RBA and having interest rates if when they lower the rates, we don't get any benefit from them? I mean, that's the one for me, which is like, and I know Russell's looking at me like, don't attack the banks.
There's a whole other deep dive here, Mark. Years ago, I was on TV. I got asked to make a comment. There was Wayne Swan, treasurer at the time. There was Tony Abbott, opposition of the leader of the opposition, the boss of the REIV, and me. in this interview, and I had this camera shoved in my face, and I said, "What do you want me to say?" He goes, "Oh, I'll just say something about the banks." And I went, "Same old bloody story from the banks. That Monday, my bank manager rang me up."
Oh no!
I mean, I just said what he told me to say.
Busted. No, but I wonder what the difference would be, and this is a whole nother topic too, is if the Royal Commission hadn't been on into banking, what would happen? You know, would they be different now moving forward? Like, I mean, I don't know. That's just something I think about. Anyway.
Look, I think that we in some respects we fear the banks. You know, they're almost like they're untouchable, but shit, you're a part of our society. I mean, we're all struggling here, and there's a lot of people in society struggling. Be a part of the solution.
But haven't they got their hands tied back because of the Royal Commission? They're not allowed to do this, and they're not allowed to be seen to do this, and not allowed to be seen to do that.
Well,
I don't know. Is that part of it? I don't know.
They can lower interest rates.
Well, they can do that. Yes. Yes.
That's all we're asking.
Yes.
Hey, if the RBA lowers interest rates by 0.25%,
or
just
no
pass
interest.
it on. But this isn't. I mean, when you know, I'm almost 50, but when I bought my first property, and you know, many years ago now, when the RBA lowered interest rates, we all rejoiced because we were paying less interest. Now, when the RBA lowers interest rates, we all sit there and go, "Shit, I wonder if the banks will pass it on." I mean, that is a massive change in what's.
Let's be brutal.
We don't expect them to, and that's, you know, you expect them to do that during this time of all times. You expect them to bloody well do it now.
Lisa, what were you suggesting, that the banks after this Royal Commission are doing that to the government in some of this because of the Royal? Royal Commission? I think there's an element of that. So you whacked us too hard publicly. We're not going to.
It's something I'd love to talk to someone about, because I thought about it this morning, and I thought I'd love to have a conversation with somebody about this. So maybe another time.
We're going to keep this discussion going, but we're moving in. So we like to spend the last few minutes of Property Banter just handing it over to our audience. Really, it's interactive, as I said. We've got Scott. I'm a bit intrigued by your comment here, Scott. You've just said no. I'm not 100% sure what that means. If anyone's got any questions or they want to be a part of the discussion, feel free to just in the chat box down the bottom to put forward a question. So maybe Scott, you're saying maybe you're a banker, and maybe you're saying no way.
What's his last name? What's his last name?
Scott Gemmell. So I think you'll know Scott Gemmell up in Brisbane.
Scott.
There, I've had a few chats with Scott over the journey. Maybe he's just saying no to me.
Banking. He'd have an opinion about the banking too.
Well, tell us what it is, Scott, because you got your opportunity. We've got another question here that's just talking about. It's not a question; it's a statement. I think a whole lot of agents were breathing a sigh of relief about what happened in Victoria with the private inspections being allowed to go forward. I think that a lot of us went to bed on Thursday night thinking, "Oh my God, this is not good," and we all woke up Monday morning thinking, "Okay, we breathed a sigh of relief."
Some of us didn't go to bed worrying about it.
Well, think of New Zealand. They went straight down into lockdown. You guys only had it for one weekend. New Zealand have had it for however long. Like, they can't do anything.
Tony's asked us here, can I get my neighbour's dog evicted during the lockdown?
Yes, you can.
You can? The best way, I know guns are illegal in this country, but they're pretty cheap, the bullets nowadays. So maybe, Tony, I shouldn't say that. I'm a dog lover.
Say that.
Sorry, I apologise. I shouldn't say that at all. That's not
What's
appropriate.
the name of your dog again?
My little dog's Stanley. I've got it. Oh, here, Scott's explaining. No was my answer to answer the question as to whether the banks are restricted by So Scott's saying the banks aren't restricted. Thanks, Scott. They're not restricted by the Royal Commission, which you wouldn't have thought so. I mean, is the Royal Commission going to restrict you from being good?
No, not restricted, but I just thought, like, you know, some of the just the backlash, or, you know, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I agree with you, Lisa. I think there's an element to
Kelsey from my office has just said Stanley. Everyone loves Stanley. I'll bring Stanley on the show one week. All right, hey guys, that's a great discussion. We as we said before, we could talk about that discussion for ages, but we're going to move on. You know, each week we like to have a little clip where we like a tipple like anyone else, and I've actually got to go and crack a new beer. So,
and thank you for my 2 bottles of wine today. I got it delivered. BWS, thank you.
Where's mine?
I got 2 bottles. Yeah.
any special guests get some wine. Josh Teslin is our agent of the year, is our special guest next week. So Josh, if you're listening and you're out there, you will get, well, we'll find out what you like, whether it's wine or beer or whatever it may be. But we'd like to finish off each week with just a little clip, a little funny clip. We found this clip and we thought that this was probably, what's the word I'm looking, appropriate for what we're going through at the moment. So, Mish, if we can play that clip now.
The world has caught a virus, so I've written you a poem. We need your help to cure it, so stay the fuck at home. And if you have got 12 kids or you're living on your own, lock it down and isolate and stay the fuck at home. If you think you're not at risk here, you're living in a dome. It spreads faster than a hooker's leg, so stay the fuck at home. I need the gym, I need the beach, I hear you bitch and moan. You need to grow a brain cell and stay the fuck at home. But I feel fine, I don't feel sick. I'll go out on my own. How thick are you, you selfish prick? Please just stay the fuck at home. From LA through to Berlin, from Wuhan to Rome, there's people dying every day, so stay the fuck at home. If you need to contact family, use Facebook, Skype, or phone. We've got the fucking internet, so stay the fuck at home. The only way to slow it down is isolate, not roam. Please help the world get back on track and stay the fuck at home. Stay the fuck at home, stay the fuck at home. Don't you be a fucking dick, please stay the fuck at home.
Mark, why did you get rid of the beard? Why did you get rid of the beard?
I had to. People are telling me I wasn't being professional enough, so I thought I needed to tidy up, just trim. My kids were laughing about the grey of the beard. So, but I think we all got the point there.
I never knew you could play the piano.
Well, that was an audio track.
Or sing.
So can't do that. Hey, Lisa, thank you so much for joining us this week. We know we've got a little competition running. You're the author of a number of books, and we're going to get a little prize. You might just want to flash your book up there, Secret Agents. So we've got a little competition. We'd love to show a few memes on this show each week. This is our first episode of our new format. So if anyone has got some memes that they'd like to send in, there's the email address on the screen there, just banter@propertybanter.com.au. There's loads of memes going out there. So send your memes in. We'll pick out the funniest meme. And we'll Lisa will send you a copy of her book. So thank you so much for joining us. It was great to have you.
That's right. And are you putting my meme up or not? No? Right, that's fine. Whatever.
I know we didn't.
That's okay. That's fine. That's fine.
We didn't do it too.
All right. That's okay.
The meme, is that the
you
one
didn't think it was funny? All
no,
right,
we did.
whatever.
I think we actually forgot about it. I think
it was that good.
Well, is that the one of you having a sign saying "Need more beer"? Was that you?
Yeah. No, wine. Need more wine, and you sent it to me. Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
All right, everyone. Yes. Thank you so much for joining us this week. We're same time next week. So Property Banter, 4:00 every Friday afternoon. We'll see you next week.
Thank you for having
me. Mark. See you, Lisa.
Bye.
Real estate agents, complex creatures with deep pockets and tiny hands. I'll get it.
Why are you looking at me?
What
have you heard?
Nothing.
What have you heard?
Just...